I'm Judy Litt, and today we are going to be activating our core and we're going to be working on balance. And yet we're going to be in basically a tabletop position on our mat for pretty much the entire practice because you have to crawl before you can walk. So go ahead and come into that tabletop position. Shoulders are over wrists, hips are over knees. Fingers are spread very wide, really pressing into your index finger and your thumb, trying to take the pressure off of your wrist. I have a wrist warm-up video, and I'm going to try and remember to link that up. And just inhale, bring your chest forward. Exhale, round your back. Inhale, spread across your shoulder blades, your collarbones. Exhale, really pull that navel in, push the mat away. Continue with cat and cow on your own time. I'm going to be challenging you in March to work on your core, to work on your balance. After slowing down in winter for some of us, we need to build back up so we can be more active during the spring, during the summer. And quite frankly, everybody can benefit from core work and balance work. And go ahead and come to stillness. Back is in a neutral position. For this practice, you might want a couple of props. You might want blocks if your wrists really bother you in this position. You can also try doing this on your forearms. And if your knees bother you, you might like to have a blanket underneath your knees. So inhale, look over your left shoulder towards your left hip. Exhale, come back forward. Inhale, right side. Exhale, forward. Think about squeezing your core in, not super, super hard, just enough to keep you stable. This is wag the dog. A couple more. Thinking about where you need balance in your life. On the mat, off the mat. Come to stillness, facing forward. Go ahead and extend your right leg straight back, reaching towards the back of your mat on an inhale. And on an exhale, cross it over your left, also looking at your left hip. So it's wag the dog with an extended leg. I'm going to go from side to side. Inhale, left leg reaches back, crosses over the right leg. We're looking at the right hip, extending back, bringing it back to the mat. And just keep going back and forth on your own time. Really thinking about having as flat a back as you can. Your hip is going to dip a little bit here, most likely. Thinking about crunching your core, for want of a better word. I'm not a huge fan of crunches, but you're trying to bring your chest towards your hip. Obviously, you're not going to reach your chest towards your hip unless you are a Cirque du Soleil performer, but we're doing a little side crunch here, and we're getting balance because with just 3 limbs on the ground, we're not quite as strong as with all 4. And let's just bring our hips back to our wrists. Take a brief pause here to roll out our wrists, because it is a lot of pressure on our wrists, and we don't want wrist problems. Maybe go the other way. Okay, come back to your tabletop. Relax your shoulders. Inhale, extend your left leg back. Exhale, curve your back, bring it towards your nose. Set that down. Inhale, right leg back. Curl it towards your nose on the exhale. Set it down. Going from side to side. How far can you curl in? Moving from your core. Nice and slowly. You get a lot more benefit from strength moves when they're performed slowly. And of course, it feels harder. Okay, a couple more here. And just notice if one side you can go a little further than the other, and that's normal. Make a note of it. Really reaching your leg back and really curling in. Pause. And go ahead and extend your left leg back. And if you'd like to go a little deeper, extend your right arm forward. Bring both back to the mat. Second side. Instead of thinking reaching up, although you can reach up, think about reaching out. As if somebody is holding your wrist and your ankle and just pulling you apart. Core is engaged, of course. It's going to help you balance. It's going to protect your low back. Our low back tends to say, oh, I can do that, when we're not engaging our core. And that's how we end up in trouble with our low back. Couple more. Last one. Let's go ahead and sit back on our heels again and roll out our wrists again. This practice does take a little toll on our wrists. We want to keep our wrists happy. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Let that go. Come back into your tabletop position. Take your left leg, extend it up towards the ceiling, and then bring it back to the mat. And then your right leg, knees bent. Fire hydrants. So your left leg, your left thigh is parallel to the short end of your mat, and your shin is parallel to the long end of your mat. And as you're doing this, notice what your hands are doing. Really see if you can suction them into the mat. If they're like this, then you are probably going over your edge. Activate the core. Move slowly, move thoughtfully. Couple more. Head is neutral. Protect your neck. Pause. For the next one, we're going to do one side and then the other just because I basically have no room to do both sides at once. Okay, so we're going to bring our leg up, knee bent, and then straighten it out, trying to get our leg as close to parallel with our hip as possible. So leg comes out, straighten as if you're kicking out, leg comes back. Donkey kick to the side. Really think about trying to get that leg parallel. As you can see, I have a little trouble with that. You may get up much higher than me, and you may get much lower than me. Just honor your own body. Spreading those fingers wide. Last couple. Last one. And we're going to go to our right leg. You can stay where you are. I am just turning so you can see me. And bring that right knee up. Straighten out the right calf. Bring everything back to the mat. As I said earlier, I want you to think about where in your life you may be out of balance. Is that in relationships? Is that in work? Is it in play? Maybe it's in self-care. You may be doing too much of something. You may be doing too little of something. Just want you to think about it. Okay. I'm going to turn around once more. Let's come and bring our hips to our heels once again. We have one last move, but let's roll our wrists out before we do it. I know my wrists are feeling it. Another thing you can do if your wrists are feeling it, you can make fists instead of having your palm on the mat. So balance is a moving target. You know, we're never completely in balance. There's always something that might be a little bit out of balance. Okay, come back to your tabletop position. And then take your right hand and line it up with your knee. Turn your body so that it is facing the long side of your mat. Take your left arm, reach it up towards the sky. And we're going to do leg raises here. Pull that core in. Remember, this is core work. Go up to a height that is comfortable and maybe challenging for you, but not too challenging. Notice if your shoulders are stacked, one on top of the other. That's what we're trying to go for. Notice if you're wobbling and maybe falling over. Having that bent leg angled back a little bit acts as a little tripod and can help us to balance more. Okay, last one. Let's hold that leg up. Stretch from that right palm all the way up to the left hand, stretching up towards the ceiling. And let that go. Come to a kneeling position and pause. You're almost done. You're doing great. Take your left palm to the mat. Take your right leg, stretch it straight out. Angle that left leg. And you can have your hand at your hip You can have your hand up, straight up, reaching towards the ceiling. Inhale the leg up, exhale down. Activating your core. Thinking about length in your spine. Going all the way from that right foot all the way up towards your head. Where is that top hand? Okay, let's go ahead and hold up the extended leg. Really draw that core in. Reach for the ceiling, really pressing into your left hand. Active arms. Engage core. Kneeling half moon. And let that go. Go ahead and bring your hips to your heels one last time. Roll out your wrist, although that one shouldn't have been too hard. And just begin to bring your head down towards your mat. Arms can be behind you. Head can reach the mat. You can grab one of those blocks and put it under your head if you like. Arms can be reaching forward. And just take a few deep breaths here. This practice, done a couple of times a week, is really going to lay the foundation to work on your balance, and it's going to work your core. I bet if you've really engaged your core, you're going to feel this tomorrow. If your arms aren't stretched out in front of you, go ahead and bring them forward now. Walk your left arm over towards the left. Right arm comes on top. Just a nice big side body stretch. Walk your hands back towards center. Right arm walks over towards the right. Left hand comes on top of the right hand. Nice big side body stretch the other way. Hands walk back to center. Then walk back towards your knees. Slowly rolling yourself up. Head is the last thing to come down. Come to an easy seated position. Take your hands together, and I just want you to close your eyes for a few seconds, minutes, and bring your attention back to the intention you set at the beginning of your practice. I suggested it was to bring your attention to your core throughout the entire practice. When we have a strong core, we can move through life so much easier. And when we are striving for balance in our life, which is an ever-changing target, but when we're aware of that, we are happier, we are more fulfilled than when we let things get out of balance. And they're going to get out of balance. It happens. By taking this time on your mat, you're saying, I deserve this time for me. So thank yourself for taking this time. I thank you for choosing to spend your time with me. I am very grateful for each and every single one of you. Go ahead and rub your hands together. Bring them to stillness at your heart. Slowly begin to blink your eyes open and raise your head. I hope that you enjoyed this balancing, surprisingly core-heavy work. I hope that it brings balance into your life. And never forget, go inside. And there's always more balance, more peace, more calm waiting for you there.